Tonight we introduce our first two members into the Loyal Lancer category into the Canby Hall of Fame. And this is going to be a whole lot of fun because I get to do the presenting. Our first one is Colleen Koenigs. Colleen began working here at Canby High School at age 19 and continued for 47 years, serving 8 different superintendents with a wide range of duties. And it was amazing how all 8 of those superintendents somehow thought they ran the school, when all the rest of us knew better. No, if you want to know what's really going on, you go see Colleen. She was active in many, many community activities. She was instrumental in planning the all-school reunion, which surrounded the 100th anniversary of the opening and founding of Canby Public Schools. Colleen was an amazing Lancer fan. She was the official scorer for basketball for as long as most of us can remember. Her banter with referees, coaches, players, officials made her a favorite of a lot of the coaches and players and officials from the surrounding areas. She religiously attended school activities even after limited mobility set in. You just automatically looked over to that entrance side on the visitors' bleacher side and looked for Colleen there. And it didn't really matter what kind of weather it was, because there were times I saw her there and went, "Good Lord, girl, how in the world did you get here?" And she just smiled and laughed because she wasn't going to miss. And now, when she's not there, it's just not the same, because it was just an automatic to see her there. Colleen also attended over 50 state basketball tournaments. Known and recognized by basketball fans all over the state, they could all see the absolute joy she found in attending those events. As a way of honoring her, 2 of her nieces attended the tournament this year in her honor. Colleen gave many gifts to multiple organizations, and one of her largest gifts was to Canby Public Schools as the anonymous donor of the school's color electronic messaging board. Colleen desired to make the gift of the sign, but in her own humble way stipulated that it not be revealed who donated it till after her passing. We all speculated about who loved the school and these students so much to do that. Amazing, awesome gesture. And when it was finally revealed, we all kind of sat back and went, yeah, of course. Who else? Colleen's most recent gifts have been realized through many bequests to community organizations, including 35 $1,000 scholarships to the Canby Blue and Gold Foundation. These scholarships will be awarded over a 3-year period, ensuring that each student that applies can receive a Blue and Gold scholarship. A plaque honoring Colleen has been placed on the sign, which continually scrolls the activity she so dearly loved, and it reads, "With heart-filled gratitude to the memory of Colleen Koenigs." These gifts will be with us now and for many, many years to come, but they're but an indication of her true gift to us. And that is simply for all of us who have been so blessed to wander the halls of this high school. She loved us, each and every one. Discussing tonight's events at work the other day, a question was asked, well, did Colleen have any kids? And the answer was no. But as I thought about that, I went, no, that's wrong. She had thousands of kids. Class after class, year after year. We were all her kids, and we are her legacy. With that, here to receive the plaque in her honor is her niece, Kathy Loren. The plaque reads simply, Colleen Koenigs was employed by the CHS District Office for over 45 years. Her love for Lancer athletics was evident as she volunteered at the scoring table for various home events for over 40 years. Her wit and sports knowledge made her a favorite with visiting coaches and officials.
She probably wouldn't like being in the limelight like this, but I'm so happy to accept this award in her name. I'm sure she'd be much more excited about being able to visit with the other honorees and the inductees. She just loved to be here and talk about sports and Canby, even when I didn't know anybody. Colleen was always out looking for the good in the student. What I noticed about her growing up was the difference between her fan and another fan is she never said anything bad about a student or an official's call. She only saw the good that they did. She maybe thought differently, but never publicly would she say that a student wasn't doing well or an official had done a bad play or call. And you're right, Canby School was always near and dear to her heart. Even though my siblings and I were only close relatives, all of Canby was her family. So thank you for recognizing that love. Thank you very much for this award.
Our next Loyal Lancer inductee is a man that I've had the privilege of knowing for many, many years. Marion, now better known as Cowboy to all of us, served the Canby School District by driving the bus for 46 years. And if you read the Canby news here just a couple months ago, in the 50-year news was a little statement regarding the fact that that was the year that Marion Oellien was first hired to start driving a bus here at Canby High School. He drove the morning route, evening route, athletic events, and a whole lot of field trips. Marion didn't sit in the bus and wait. He watched the games, he watched the matches, he cheered for the teams, he cheered for the individuals, he cheered for his kids, his grandkids, and probably, if things keep going, his great-grandkids. Because we hope he's going to be around for a long time yet. And for whatever reason, Marion served as chaperone for many state tournaments, band and choir trips. It was his love of kids, but sometimes I always wonder if it was a way to keep an eye on his kids as well. Few prom dances just for fun, and yeah, maybe part of it was just to keep an eye on his kids, especially Maddie. Marion's a man of his word. He expects you to keep his word. If I have the story correctly, when Sam asked to marry Madeline, he said, yeah, you can go ahead and do that, but just don't bring her back. Well, he hasn't, except he got himself stuck out in Deadwood in a snowstorm, so there you go, Sammy. He remains an avid sportsman to this day. For those of you who, like me, enjoy leaning on the fence at a basketball game, Marion's the one who donated the yellow plastic tile that makes the fence both safer and a darn sight more comfortable to lean upon. He's taken tremendous pride in the care of the football and baseball fields, donating many hours of his own time to ensure they were in the best possible condition. And I wish I knew how many miles he's put on that darn lawnmower, because it'd be a swath from here to eternity, I'm pretty sure. He's a veteran of the Korean conflict. He's a lifetime member of the Canby VF and the Gary Legion. He served his community as a reserve police officer for over 28 years, and he and his wife, Colleen, are very, very active members of their local church. The hours they've donated, the endless stuff that they've brought in for garage sales, they keep Anne's room full back there, trust me. Their love for our kids has just been absolutely amazing. But I want to give you an idea about the impact that Marion's had on our lives. We've talked about some of the things he's done, but I want to give you a little insight into the heart of Marion Oellien. Growing up out on the farm, riding the bus all day long, the pecking order was, as you got to be a sophomore, junior, senior, you worked your way to the back of the bus and you threw the littler kids up front. Literally threw them to the front. But I noticed something really different because we were so blessed. I was so blessed back in the day when we had athletic routes, and for those of you younger kids that don't know how that worked, the purpose wasn't get you to your driveway, but at least get you close to home so the parents didn't have to drive quite so far. Well, Marion was my athletic bus driver. And there was something rather different about our athletic bus route, because I noticed The people that sat up front were the sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And once you got to be a senior, you got the place of honor athletic bus, and that was to sit right behind the driver, Marion. Because he'd visit with you, he asked you how things were going, and you knew beyond any shadow of a doubt that he actually cared. If you took a look at the stuff that was on the table that Colleen brought for Marion, it's amazing. He wasn't just a bus driver. He was a second dad to those kids. It's absolutely amazing to look at the plaques and the things that they put forward and the cards that he got of just how much loved he is. And I don't know, Marion, if you do realize how much you meant to us. Because you went way beyond the call of duty. You weren't a bus driver. You were Cowboy. You were the guy we all wanted to be like. You've heard about his accomplishments, but I hope I've been able to in some way give you a little bit of insight into his heart. Because who else would go to state wrestling tourney after state wrestling tourney, sitting up all hours of the night to make sure that you behaved, and shame on some of you because I've heard stories. Band trips, wire trips. He didn't have to do that, but he did it because he cares and because he loved us. So with that, our second Loyal Lancer honoree, Mr. Marion, the man we call Cowboy, Oellien. He asked if he could put his hat on, and I said, Marion, it wouldn't be right if you didn't. His plaque reads, Marion Cowboy Lead serves CHS extracurricular activities as a groundskeeper, bus driver, and chaperone and fan for over 45 years. He took special pride in getting Lancer Fields looking their best on game days. His dependability and dedication went way beyond the call of duty.
Well, I wore my hat so that you guys know who's really up here. So I put it over with my hat off. I don't know if I got anything to say because he said it all. Anyway, I'm going to say what I got here. It's hard to believe that something like this is happening to me. I thank you for this. I've had a lot of good things happen to me in my life. The first was I spent 2 years in the Army. The second, I married Colleen, and we had 6 kids that we think the world of. The third, I got my bus driving job in September of 1963. Started driving the Raskin team in 1967. Drove for them 42 years and night chaperoned them at the state tournament. I met a lot of good kids and hoped that I would have never met in the 50 years that I worked for the school. 40 years of driving round bus, class trips, and other sports trips, chaperoning the band and choir trips. I got to go on a lot of places and see a lot of things. I learned a lot of things from the kids that I hauled and hoped they learned something from me. I could tell a lot of stories about things that happened, but I think it's best that I don't. I love my job working for the school, so I thank you for this honor. Amen.
Fame out there will be this plaque. It says Hall of Fame Loyal Lancers. And you see, we got spots for more. So those forms, get them done. For our first team entry into this year's Hall of Fame, I'm going to call upon 2007 Hall of Fame inductee. If I remember right, he was my elementary gym teacher. Mr. Bill Bredesen, would you please come forward?
First of all, on behalf of the team, Adrian, who's the assistant, and myself, I would like to thank you for the honor and the recognition that you are giving us tonight. 95 was the first year that Lincoln High came into the system with Canby and Minnesota, and I think that year was unbelievable. All those kids gelled and came together and really worked. I think that's probably the tightest team that I saw for an awful long time. And I really appreciated that, because it could have gone a lot of different ways. The kids that were involved in that 95 team are as follows. Will they please come over here and get recognized? John Bruns, Brent Mortensen, Nate Canton, Reiss Janiszeski, Mike Merrill. I think we're down here, guys. Is that, yeah, right down here. Right here? Yeah, right there. Peter Janiszeski. And that team was led by Brian Leapfree, who in 95 won the state tournament with a time of 16.1 second and 1/10 of a second. So he won the team tournament that year. Also present on the team were Tim Fryer and Tom Newhouse. There was the 8th member of the team that will not be with us any longer, and he lost his life earlier this spring, and that was Matt Rand from Minnesota. Again, he's in our thoughts and prayers. And with this, you know that I'm not a real long speaker, so I'm going to relinquish my time to Peter Janiszeski, and he can finish for me.
Good evening. I'll try and keep this as brief as possible. I think Rich Janiszeski also wants to say a few words, and he's a little bit more eloquent of a public speaker than I am. So, first of all, like Bill mentioned, I just want to recognize the fact that we're missing one of our members of the championship team who's with us here in spirit tonight. Matt Rand was a valuable member of our team whose life was tragically ended in an automobile accident this past summer, and so I just want to offer up a moment of silence to remember Matt and his family. Second of all, thank you to the committee for bestowing on us this tremendous honor of being inducted into the Lancer Hall of Fame. Thank you also to Mr. B and Patty for being such awesome coaches and mentors to us all. Finally, a few words about our team. As a coach of cross country and track, I know how extremely difficult it is to assemble a group of boys or girls that is capable of accomplishing what we were able to accomplish in 1995. It often seems as if the stars need to be perfectly aligned for a state championship to happen, and many coaches coach a lifetime without ever assembling that magical team. I see our team as a team of destiny. From day one of practice that year, our goal wasn't to make it to state or to do well at state. It was to be state champions. If you can imagine a group of guys willing to push each other to our highest limits and then some, that was us. If you can imagine a group of 10, 12, 15 guys and more hammering on each other day in and day out at golf course intervals, bus runs, and meets. That was us. Our team routinely gathered on Saturdays for workouts and then proceeded to relish in our youth through team meals, hacky sack circles, and pickup games of basketball throughout the countryside. We were the vision of high school athletics. There wasn't anything that we wouldn't do for each other to help each other get better, better as runners, better as students, and better as people. We were more of a brotherhood than a team, which in many ways saved me as a person, and for that I will ever be grateful. Thank you for the awesome memories, and God bless.
Pete did a fantastic job there hitting all the high points. What I want to talk about, I just want to add a little bit of color to it because it was such an amazing period of my life and for all of us too. And it's such a huge honor for all of us. I would be remiss if I didn't, add a few stories to what Pete talked about there. I'm not big on looking back, but I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I know a lot of that might sound like they're mutually exclusive things, but they're not. Because I think what the process that I went through when we found out this was happening, my first impulse was like, what a huge honor, but at the same time, like, what we did when we were kids. Like, everybody here that is being honored tonight, we did it when we were 17, 18 years old, and it was certainly gone on to do bigger and better things since then. It doesn't mean that what we didn't do wasn't great, because it was, but, I mean, Mike Merrill's working on his MBA right now, despite everybody behind him as a family and wives, and we've advanced degrees, and I think we've accomplished, even athletically, to supersede what we did that day, but it was still such a great thing that I was really excited to get back here and just meet with these guys. And I've had such an amazing weekend. It's nostalgia is fantastic, and this is all right to look back at these things. And I've really enjoyed this whole process. And I'm glad that it was brought up today that Brian won the individual state title too, because this is certainly a team honor. But he was dominant that fall. I've never seen anything like it. He won the state championship by the length of almost a football field, and he put that distance on second and third within the last half mile of the race. 2.5 minutes, he put 90 meters on the second and third best guys in the state. And those dudes were good. And one of them ended up being the national champion in the 800 that spring, and just throttled those guys. I remember watching him at the regional meet. Pete and Tim Fryer and I were running back in 5th, 6th, and 7th. We were coming over this crest of this hill behind the clubhouse there at the Slade Golf Course. And you finally see, where Brian was at that point, and he was just telescoping away from some good runners. And I don't know if I said it out loud at the time, and maybe Pete can remember, but I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, look at how far ahead he is. It's just like I said, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I was certainly thinking, and I'll never forget that emotion of just watching him just run away from the field. So, and we went out and we wanted to win, and that was the goal all year. But I don't think any of us realized how difficult it was really going to be. I know now. Because if I had to go back and do it again, I don't know if I could. I mean, I'd like to think that together we could do what we did again, but my God, what we put ourselves through to win that race. And all the things that had to break our way for us to win, it seems ridiculous to me. Because as a junior, when we finished track, I just decided we were going to win the state championship. Like, on paper, with what we'd accomplished individually, like, we're a shooter, we're an ice-cold lock, and like, I realize now that was both just arrogant and short-sighted, but I'm glad we pulled it off, because had a guy like Nate Canton not come out of nowhere, I mean, literally, junior varsity Oellien, I mean, he's considered himself more of a basketball player up to that point. All of a sudden, as a sophomore, he makes our team, and ends up being our 5th scorer. Without him, we don't win the state championship. And without Brett Mortensen running out of his board at the regional meet and making the state championship team, then we don't win either, because without those two, like, we don't do what I thought we were going to do. It was not a lock. I don't think any of us realized how hard it was going to be at the time, but for it to play out the way it did, it couldn't have gone any better. I think the important thing to remember too is all the things that did come into play to help us win that state championship. We can sit here and hoist ourselves up and say how great we were and how hard we worked, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the genius of the man next to me here, Bill Reiss. And anyone of you that's been coached by him or around him, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because the man coaches the individual within a team sport. He coached all of us in a manner that we needed to be coached. He's not a fire and brimstone, rah-rah, get in your face type coach. That's not his style. But he knew that me being such a passionate student of the sport and someone that was the leader of this team, I needed to be involved in the planning of the workouts and things of that nature. He treated me as an equal, even though I revered and respected him, and he was the coach first and foremost. But we spoke to each other like adults, and I don't know that I could have run the way I did for another coach. I would have chafed against him. And but he understood what I needed and how to make that work. He also knew that Brian Leafrey was not prone to being a little bit nervous before racing, but he didn't need to say a lot to him. He just basically needed to go out there and just maybe calm him down a little bit and get out of his way, let him do his thing. He could just go out and destroy the field. You know, Pete Janiszeski, somebody needed to maybe like talk down a little bit before a race because he'd get too excited. Bill knew that. Bill would be there to calm him down, and you just a few words here and there, and suddenly you're ready to go out there and just destroy everybody. And that's what we did. It's because he understood that. And this is my favorite story. And Bill will remember this probably because we were good that year, and I was, you know, Brian and I were winning a lot of races and stuff, and I enjoyed the publicity. I wanted us to get the attention because we were working hard for it. And Bill knew that. He knew I'd run my mouth off anytime a reporter would get near me with a microphone and a pad of paper, and so he pulled me aside after a meet. Inevitably, the reporter would come up and ask for some quotes or comments or whatever, and he'd pull me aside and say, "No promises, no predictions." Because he didn't want me to go out there and run and tell the whole state how good we were. He wanted to stay under the radar. And I get it now, I do, but I just so I'd say, "Yeah, coach, I got it." And I didn't. I obeyed the orders, but every time it was no promises and no predictions. And so what happened is, the Tuesday before the state meet, we're about ready to head up to the cities, and it's snowy and it's cold, and Pete is sick, and Nate is sick. They're not feeling very well. And this is 3 or 4 days before the biggest meet of our lives. Like we haven't lost a meet yet, and now it's the big one, and 2 of our top guys are sick. And again, me being only 18 at the time, I wasn't, you know, immune to being rattled. And suddenly I'm out on this practice run. We're just running out of time. Now Bill's going to pick us up and bus us back in. And I'm by myself. I've isolated. I'm up in my own head. And I'm worried. I'm freaked out that this is all going to fall apart at the last minute. And we get back down in the locker room, and Bill pulls me into the coach's office there. He sits me down and says, "Man, you got to get your head right here. These guys are keying off of you. What are you doing right now? You're walking around running into the walls." He goes, "And this is the man who up to this point had always told me no promises, no predictions." He looked me right in the eye and said, "Rich, we've come too far now. We're going to win. It's going to be fine." And I'd never heard him say anything like that before, but he knew in that moment that's what I needed to hear. And I walked out of there and I knew it, like, Coach just told me we're going to win. Like, it was a foregone conclusion at that point. He had seen it and he knew it too. We finally had that shared confidence of like, this is going to happen, but I'd never heard him speak to me like that before. And that's, I'm not going to say that's what propelled us to happen, but it certainly shook me out of my funk, and we went out and did what we were supposed to do. And like, I'm sure you've had a million coaching moments like that you may or may not remember, but that one stuck with me to this point. I'll never forget it. And that was a conversation that I truly value. And I'm thankful I get to share it with you here tonight, because without this man over here, like, we don't get that big shiny trophy, you know, maybe we're second or third, and you're not honoring us tonight, you know, so I'm thankful for that, because I got to come back here and hang out with these guys this weekend and shake a lot of hands I haven't in a long time. So thank you very much for this honor, and again, it's truly been a pleasure.
Our second team to be inducted in the Hall of Fame this evening is the 1979 wrestling team. And I would ask 2011 Hall of Fame inductee Mr. Jerry Jingles to please come forward at this time.
I'm going to introduce the 79 team. We have lost 2 members from the 79 team, Larry Dreesen and Steve Song. They're on the picture. They're on the picture in the hall for the Hall of Fame, and they will not be forgotten. I think we have about 8 members of that team that are present tonight. I'm going to have them come up, stand up there next to the cross-country guys when the pictures are over. We've got Steve Grings. He's here. Dan Burkus I haven't seen. I thought he'd be here. Jim Suter's here. Todd Burlingame. Keith Satrowski. Brad Burlingame and Danny Hoffman, I don't believe, are present. Bob Stokes is here. Kevin Satrowski I haven't seen. Randy Brown and Jeff Luters are here. Jack Peterson, I think he's in Arizona. Loren Mathews is here. David Mingler was the manager. Would those members come up and stand over here? You got pictures there? As I look back at that 79 season, these guys were a handful. There was never a dull moment during the 79 season. I'm going to talk about a couple of matches. We had the ties, if you're looking at the team record there, the tie was with Albert Lee. That was a 4-team invitational, I think, with Moorhead and Watertown. And we tied Albert Lee in the final duel, but we won the tournament on total points. And we lost to Worthington. One match that I remember really well was the Spring Lake Park came out here and stayed overnight with families. And I didn't know anything about Spring Lake Park, so I called somebody I knew in the metro that knew something about wrestling, and I said, well, give me some information on Spring Lake. Well, I can't remember much of the information, but I remember he did say, you better get them early because they're loaded in the upper weights. And they may have the best upper weights in the metro area. Well, we got them early. We got them at 15-9 after 138, and then we won the last 5. Ended up 31-9. They did have good upper weights, but we matched up very well with them. That was a much closer match than the final score indicated. In the region, we wrestled Raymond in the finals. You may say Raymond, but today Raymond is with about 7 or 8 other schools that used to wrestle in a conglomerate over there. And that whole conglomerate isn't anywhere near as good as Raymond by itself was in 1979. We got to the state tournament, and we had Staples booming because they had really hammered us last year. I think they had us down 29-0, and we won 3 matches. And so we're kind of looking forward. We were kind of looking forward to wrestling, but in a way we were, in a way we weren't. Because when Mr. Bredesen and I looked at the matchups, it looked like we were about 2 matches short of being able to beat Staples. We did get to the finals against them. And I thought we'd be down 24-0 after 4 matches. And then Dan Burkus won a big match at 105. And then I think Brad Burlingame was behind and came back with a side roll and a fall. And that kind of put us back in it. And it was kind of, we had a lot of ground to make up. Anyway, we got to the last 2 and we were still down 7. And I remember calling Loren Mathews over and we looked at the scoreboard and I said, you got to get more than 3. We're not going to run Steve Song out there when he's going to have to get a fall because heavyweights are pretty good stalwarts. So Mathews is out there wrestling and he gets a takedown and he pushes the guy away and he backs up and we're going, come on. And he's not a real excitable guy, but methodically he kept coming back and anyway, he ended up with a superior 5. He could get a superior 5-point decision. And so now we're within 2, and then Steve Song did get a fall in the finals. So that was a big, that was an exciting match. A lot of points scored there. I want Karen Cockerman, I think she's here somewhere, to come up and give a cheerleader's viewpoint of this. You figure out a way to get up here? Okay. You're not running. We'll wait. Mathews, you get warmed up. You're next.
Started racing even when he was talking about that final match at St. Paul. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to everyone who's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think we can all probably agree that this is a great community to grow up and succeed in, and I'm very proud to be back here. So thank you. When I got my invitation to come to this tonight, I was also asked if I would speak. I have to admit, it's been over 30 years, so I did have to consult with some of my classmates and look in the yearbook to really remember what happened, because that's been a long time ago. I was asked to recall any memories that I had about wrestling that year, and I was the only senior cheerleader, so I was the one who was called down to Mr. Song's office the day before we were to leave for a state wrestling tournament. And for any of you who were in high school when Mr. Song was reigning, when you got called down to talk to Mr. Song, you were very nervous. So I got called down to talk to him, and he handed me our passes to go to the match, said a few words about that, and then simply said, "Cockelman, keep your nose clean." And I am not sure why he said that to me, but I think the wrestlers and the cheerleaders maybe both had a troubled year that year, Mr. Jingles. So. And overall, I would say the late 70s were a great time to be cheering. Our winning team had been the result of wrestlers, coaches, cheerleaders, and fans who helped to build a winning momentum and a passion for wrestling. So by the time 1979 came around, it was really pretty easy to cheer for wrestling. Everybody was ready, willing, and able to cheer. All you had to do was get them started, and they took the rest. And again, listening to Mr. Jingles talk about that last match, it was a very exciting time to be cheerleading for the Canby Lancers, and something I won't forget. So thank you very much, and thank you for inducting our team into the Hall of Fame.
Coach Jingles asked me to say a few things that I remembered from when we wrestled back in '79. That's a long time ago too, so I had to look back at some of the information we had. And one of the things that I remember back from '79 was that was our centennial year, and we were the centennial Lancers that year because that was our 100th year of Canby. So I still got my medallion from then. Also, one of the other new things that happened was that was the first year that they had the new format at the state tournament, where in our first match we wrestled the Loren ponies, and we started at 155 pounds instead of at 98, and they experimented with that for one match, but then after that the format didn't work out for the individual and team at the same time, but we got to be the first, one of the first teams to use the new format, and we got up to an early lead against Loren, and that kind of snowballed from there. Also, during that year, 78, 79, we had a lot of snow on the ground, and we seemed to have a blizzard or a snowstorm all the time, and during the state tournament, we also had a big snowstorm, so my parents didn't make it to the region of the state tournament, but we always had Bill Wozniak on KDMA at Montreal. Bill always kept them informed, and so they always had the radio on. Now, when we started out the year, we had several things up until that time. We always had a returning state champ, and we didn't that year. And we also had done better, or we had won the state. We had done better than expected, or we had won the state tournament. And that year, we were coming back, and we had finished second the year before. So things were a little different. And we were determined we were going to get back to the state tournament and we were going to win. So in the paper it said we had 50 boys go up for wrestling that fall. And we had 9 lettermen, and we were pretty much set that we were going to win. We had several individuals all through the lineup, all through the grades that didn't get a chance to wrestle. And they always came to practice, they always helped out. And they waited for their chance, and their chance might have been as a senior. And one of those people was Steve Song, who was stuck behind Tom Hansen, a 2-time state champ. And Steve finally got be on varsity when he was a senior finally. And Steve came through for us, and I don't think he ever lost a match for the team. So he did a great job for us. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight. That's too bad. Then we also had some other wrestlers too that helped out. Even Al Johnson, we'd go to practice. Al Johnson would be there all the time, and he would always be in a circle, ready to do his part. The other thing we had was we had great coaching staff all the way through. We had Bill Bredesen give us a taste of wrestling in elementary, and then in junior high we had Jerry Jeremiahson and Mike Donlinger. And then as we got to be older and get up to the higher grades, we had Bill and Jerry take care of us, and it was always amazing how Mr. Jingles would always take a move and he would break it down into each little part so we could always practice it, and you would build off that little part of that move into another move, and pretty soon it was just like you were dancing practically. But it made us very successful. We were very good at that. We also had unselfish wrestlers. If you were needed a certain weight class, that's where you wrestled. A lot of teams nowadays, they put their best wrestlers where those wrestlers want to go in and they feel around it. But Canby's a little different. If you were needed in a certain weight class, that's where you wrestled, and nobody seemed to care because the team always came first. And I think that's very important. And that's also why Canby's very successful in wrestling. And the other thing we also had was we had a very supportive community. It wasn't just the parents who would show up at the matches, it was the whole community. Everybody followed us on the radio, everybody followed us to events, everybody followed us in the newspaper. It was sort of like if the wrestling team did well, the community was doing well too. So everybody seemed to be pretty excited about our team. We got down there, and first team we wrestled was the Warren Ponies. Second team was Chatfield Gophers, and the third team was the Staples Cardinals. So we pretty much took down the wildlife that weekend. Came home with our trophy though. We had a snowstorm, so we had our welcome home on a Monday night, I believe it was, because nobody could get there after the tournament. I'd like to thank everybody, the committee, for nominating us and selecting us, and thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you.
At this time, I would ask Mr. Sig Armitage to please come forward and introduce our first individual inductee, Mr. Ron Craigmile.
Ron Craigmile, class of 1959. As you read the program, he was a very competitive athlete. He spent his livelihood as a math teacher in Pine Island and Wabasha. He also coached junior high sports and golf. In basketball, there were several rims in town and always a game going on. Maybe just horse, one-on-one, or around the world, and many hours of practice were involved. You could always hear the bounce of the ball, and usually Ron was close by. He was very good in free throws. At that time, they didn't keep a shooting percentage. He had, by his own admission, he said he was right at 80%. I remember him shooting free throws one time. He made 98 in a row. Missed the 99th one, so I gave him another shot. He made that. Ron's ability in basketball to show you the ball and give you the body brought him to the free throw line many times. Ron was a Rubio of the 1950s. Coach Potter didn't want others to pass behind their back, but he let Ron. He kept everybody on their toes, that's for sure. Ron was a self-taught golfer. Club champion 12 times, 3 holes and 1. His 956 rounds of golf, reported by the Minnesota Golf Magazine, doesn't mention the rounds played before and after the mid-April to October deadline. Being a 1 or 2 handicapper, one didn't spend much time in the rough. As the saying goes, here comes Craigmile, let him play through. Baseball, another sport Ron enjoyed. He was playing at Gary with the Canby Comets, and he heard the first one to steal a base got a free quart of ice cream. Now, he's not the fleetest of foot, and I don't know how he got on base. And most players would study the pitcher and try to steal on his move. Not Ron. First pitch and he was gone. Thinking ice cream all the way down to second base. He took it home. Only few knew that he went to state in badminton. He never won a game. He met the Marshall boys, and they were very tough. His dad pitched horseshoes, and so did Ron. Not many could beat him in table tennis or pool either. They had some courts in the old Hamburger Inn, and Ron spent time there pitching horseshoe. As he got older, basketball, baseball, and football was not for him. He had his golf clubs, but he took up shoes again. Ron has won his share of local tournaments, and his average of 71% was listed number 30 in the United States with the National Horseshoe Pitching Association this summer. That's over 70 ringers for every 100 shoes thrown. Ron is indeed a natural athlete, but he also worked at it. My friend Ron Craigmile.
A wise old college friend once told me, silent gratitude is not worth much to anyone. With that in mind, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me for this honor. While sitting up here, I realized I played in this gym from 5th grade through 12th grade. And all that time, my folks, my sisters, were very supportive, especially my 2 younger sisters. I see them out there. They got to do my paper out while I went to practice. My coaches had Norm Oellien, 88 years old right now. Great friend to this day. Larry Reynolds and I played golf with him this summer. He's doing well. Paul Heine was assistant football and basketball. He went on to be head basketball coach at St. Cloud Tech. And Canby's Hall of Fame coach, George Potter. Coach Potter gave me a lot of freedom on passing and shooting. However, there were some boundaries. We were playing Clara City when I was a junior, and our bench was right down here. And one of our guys took a shot over on that side of the floor. He missed, and I happened to get the rebound, and I don't know why, but instead of just putting it up like this, I went and tried to do a jump hook from the hip, and highly not recommended if you want to stay in the game. George Potter, I can just see him right now standing up right there. He goes like this, Craigmile, one more like that and you're coming out of there. So I learned a lesson there. But another time, early in December, my senior year, we were to play Clara City. This was a away game this time. And I always wanted to tell this story. First, I wanted to define a term I made up. It's called a special game. And that's when a player is able to or allowed to play at an extremely high level for usually a short period of time. You can't plan on it, you don't know what is going to happen or when it's going to happen, and nobody knows why it happens, but every once in a while, someone has a special game. Well, when we went over to Clara City, we didn't know it was going to be a special game. And no one told Clara City because once the game started, they went big, 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 and we were behind 9-1. And after that, things settled down, regulations, he was grabbing rebounds left and right, and we started fast break, and we got back into the game, and the score went back and forth. Both teams were really playing well. I think Clara City was ahead by 2 at the half, and then third quarter,
they got hot and they went ahead by 11. And then all of a sudden the tide turned and we got hot again. And by the end of the third quarter, we were ahead by 6. And we went into the fourth quarter. Well, where the special game came in, I should say first, where the special game came in, I was making a lot of baskets. And my good shots were going in, some of my bad shots, like that one there, were going in. And I attempted 18 free throws in that game and made 15. And we got into the fourth quarter, and we finally got a 10-point lead. And Coach Potter called a timeout. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. And we went over to the huddle, and he says, go get some rosin on your hands. 4 years I played, the first time he ever said that to me. So in the huddle he says, Craigmile has 43 points. I want you to feed him the ball the rest of the game. Let's help him finish this off. So the idea there was he thought it'd be better if I didn't know how many points I had. So I come back to the huddle. I'm standing next to Tommy Olson, and I can feel him looking at me. Finally, he goes like this. You got 43 points and they're going to feed you the ball. So I scored 8 more points in that game. I only remember one of the baskets. We were on a fast break. Tom Stigowski was in the lead. I was a trailer. And Tom was wide open going for a layup. In the last second, he stopped, turned, and he flipped me the ball so that I could score the 2 points. And things had to fall into place for that to happen. But really, the special thing about it was when my teammates helped me pull it off at the end of the game. And years later, in the early 70s, I read in the Canby News, Mark Holman had a special game. And the same thing happened, I read in the paper, the same thing happens when the coaches and players saw how many points he was scoring. They tried to feed him the ball at the end of the game, tried to help him pull it off. He ended up with 47 points. And a couple of months ago, I called him on the phone. He didn't know me, and he'd heard of me, and I'd heard of him, but we didn't know each other. We talked about the games and experiences we had playing in Canby, and we mentioned different players and coaches, and it was really a lot of fun talking to him. He's a teacher over in Benson, Minnesota now. And even though we never met, we figured our dads knew each other, and I knew where his dad's shop was, and so we had that. And in closing, I followed the Hall of Fame program from the beginning, and again, I feel honored to have been selected, and I think it's fantastic, and how well the community and alumni have supported this program. Thank you.
Our next individual inductee, unfortunately, was not able to be here this evening. They have a health emergency in the family, and we just ask for your prayers. And that is Todd Paulson, but he will be represented here this evening. And with that, would Mr. Jerry Jingles please come forward? Looks like Jeff's got it.
Okay, so our first member here. Fortunately Todd's not able to be here tonight, and he did send an acceptance speech, and as his classmate and teammate, I'm honored to be able to read that to you tonight. So, Todd, I'd like to start by thanking the members of the Canby Athletic Hall of Fame Committee that voted to honor me with this induction. I'm extremely humbled by the recognition and appreciate the time and thought that went into the selection process. I would also like to thank all of the coaches, teachers, administrators, parents, teammates, and friends that helped to guide me throughout my time in Canby. Every one of you played an important role in shaping me into the person I am today. I would not be here today without each and every one of you. To be inducted into the Canby Athletic Hall of Fame is an amazing honor, one that I will cherish for the rest of my life. To be recognized for the countless hours spent in the wrestling room, running on the golf course, and around the track is humbling beyond words. The time I spent participating in Canby athletics are memories I will cherish for the rest of my life. As many of you know, wrestling was my #1 passion in sport. To have the opportunity to be part of the amazing wrestling tradition in Canby is something other kids can only dream about. I was lucky enough to have parents that started to bring me to matches when I was just 5 years old. Being able to watch those guys from the 1970s was the start of my love for the sport. I told my late father, Bob, early on that I wanted to be just like Fred and Jeff. And the rest is history. The love of wrestling is one that I still have today, as my freshman son, Caden, prepares for the upcoming wrestling season here in Arizona. He is playing football at about 110 pounds, so he's hoping to make a great 106-pounder for Desert Mountain High School in Scottsdale this year. Funny, he started to love the sport when he was 5. I wonder where this is going to take this old wrestling nut. Thank you to my late father, Bob, and mother, Barb, for giving me the chance to fall in love with wrestling. I'll never be able to repay you for giving me that chance. Thank you to Coach Jingles and to Coach Bredesen. The success I had as a young man on the mat is because of the two of you. You taught me so many things about myself and about the sport of wrestling that I cannot even begin to share. If I did, we would be here for a very long time. Wrestling is a sport that requires tough competition in the wrestling room. You cannot find a tougher, more dedicated group of guys than you could find in the Canby wrestling room back in 1982 to 86. The highlight of my high school wrestling career came my senior year in 1986 as we defeated Staples in the state wrestling championship. Nothing will compare to the feeling of sharing that accomplishment with all those teammates, coaches, and fans. It is a memory I will cherish for the rest of my life. Then there was my running career. I was too small to play football because I didn't want to get hurt for wrestling. So I thought, why don't I go out for cross country and track? What a better way to get in good shape before the wrestling season. So I decided to give it a try and found out quickly I was pretty good at it. Who would have thought that running down a gravel road, chasing a little yellow bus for 7 or 8 miles would be fun? Pretty crazy. I had more success in cross country than track, and over the years fell in love with running on all those golf courses. Thank you to Coach Bill Bredesen for always pushing us to be the best we could be, for chasing after us in that little yellow bus, and for being such an important part in my success as a runner. I could not have accomplished what I did without your leadership and inspiration. I would also like to thank my best friend, Lynn Cleveland. Without your friendship, I would not be here accepting this amazing award. You have always been there for me, and I could not have asked for a better friend, confidant, practice partner, and teammate. You always knew exactly what to say, when to say it, so I delivered the best performance I could possibly on any given day. You are the greatest. Lastly, to my parents, Bob and Todd Paulson, you gave me the opportunity to fall in love with sports. There are many kids in our world today that will never have the opportunity to compete in high school athletics. You chased all over the Midwest watching me wrestle and run. You never missed a match of mine from the time I stepped into the wrestling mat for the very first time. I love you both, and especially miss you, Dad. I know you're looking down at all of us at this very moment with big tears rolling down your cheeks and a huge smile on your face. Thank you for being my biggest fan.
Picture for Todd. Good smile. Perfect. All right. Yeah, he's quite the athlete. Some things you skip up here, I see a lot of teachers here. Todd was also pretty competitive in his academic career. I know he probably was in the top 10% of our class. He was a competitor, and we all know running across the top of the bleachers up there during wrestling practice, no one beat Paulson in the running laps. His competitive nature, his work ethic, it started at the beginning of practice, and it went all the way through. See, even after the end of practice, he brought everybody up to a higher level. And without him, I'm sure our team would not have been the championship team that we were. He also didn't stop there. He didn't think about just himself. He coached little kids. He was, always there for helping out coaching the JC wrestling. And I think actually we went and helped the DeVore kids learn how to wrestle many times. So he is truly, truly worthy of this award, being inducted. Talking to him this week, what he's going through, it was just distraught how he was not going to be able to get here. And I know he would love to be here. He would love to see the wrestlers that are here from the 70s, and love to see all the people here, all of you, that cheered him on in his career here, in both running, wrestling, and his academics. So, thank you.
This may be turned around, but Todd's instructions were that I was supposed to accept for him, so that's why I'm up here last. All I can do is add a couple things to what Lynn and Jeff have already told you. There's a lot of adjectives for Todd. Committed is one of the big ones. He was a worker, and his technique, I can remember when he was, if I can get this straight, he was in the room with Chris Fairchild, and they both were super technicians, but they always wanted to drill together. And it was fun to watch it. It was great, but I told you guys can't drill together. We got to use you on somebody else. Everybody else is stumbling around in here. We got to spread you out a little bit, so I had to split them up. Of all the things about Todd that I'll remember, he was in super conditioning, but not only that, he used it to win matches. There's a lot of wrestlers that have been in great condition, but if they don't attack and use it, it doesn't do them any good. Todd attacked and attacked until he wore the guy down. A typical Todd Paulson match, he's ahead 3-2 at the end of the first period. He's up 7-3 at the end of the second period. It ends in a major decision or tech fall for Todd. That's the way he wrestled. He kept at him. He got to escape, he's back in for a takedown. If it didn't work, he's in again. He's just going and going until he gets the points. If you look at the profile of Todd, 7 MVPs. Most people would be glad to get out of here with 1 MVP. He had 7 of them. 3 sports. 4-time region champion. Again, most people would be glad to get out of here with 1 region championship and a trip to the state tournament. Most people don't. Todd was able to be on state tournament championship teams, and he deserved it. Another thing that I remember about Todd was, I think one time we went to the team region over in Monty, and he came back 0-2. The reason he was 0-2, we moved him up. We had somebody that could, an alternate that could beat the guy in his weight, so we moved him up to the next weight. He took a couple losses because of that. Didn't mind doing that at all. Anything for the team. That's what I remember about Todd.
At this time, I'll ask Mr. Milo Larson to please come forward and tell us something about his hunt.
It's an honor, humbling, but a joy to present Scott to be a member of the Canby High School Athletic Hall of Fame. In addition to being a parent, I was also his junior high basketball coach, teacher, and his golf coach. It's a little bit ironic that his first sports trophy that he brought home and we gladly placed on the mantle was the JC wrestling tournament trophy. He was in first grade. I stayed there for several months. With that, he had a message from his college basketball coach, Hansen. Said, Scott was one of the first recruits I visited when I became head coach. I recall being told that there was a golfer that was the son of alums who might be interested in playing basketball when he was from Canby. I thought, that sounds wrestling. Well, it turned out Canby produced a very good basketball player who didn't play college golf or wrestle. Congratulations on your honor, Scott. I think that there's a couple of things that come to mind about Scott in my mind of his sporting career was durability, or the ability to make the games. He was fortunate to never be seriously injured or ill, and I believe he played in 24 consecutive football games, 59 basketball games, and 73 golf events, plus 48 college basketball games without missing because of an injury or illness. So durability comes to mind. Another item is, I think he was quite consistent and level, and if you know Scott, I believe that kind of describes him. Highs aren't too high, lows aren't too low. In football, not lots of victories. In fact, I guess there were no victories. But there were some individual highs with some lows. His three letters included, when he was a senior, that he was MVP on the team and captain all conference, and was named all area on the Marshall paper as a defensive back. And in his senior year, he had 3 interceptions in one game against Madison, I believe 9 for his career. Scott always seemed to have a passion for the sport of the season. I was a junior high basketball coach, and one teaching memory I have from that, we're playing in Lake Benton, 7th or 8th grade. He's the inbound thrower, throws the pass in towards the back court, gets picked off by a Bobcat, it's going in for a layup. Scott steps onto the floor, a couple slow steps. I couldn't get him out of the game quick enough to instruct that you follow that guy. You might miss it and need a rebound, or you might stop him from making a basket. I grabbed the guy that was beside me on the bench, and if you see one of his classmates from 90 walking around and he's got one arm 6 inches longer, that's the guy I grabbed to get to the scorer's table to replace him. Teaching moment. In my mind, fast forward 6 years, his last high school basketball game, playing RTR in the district tournament. Close game, second half. Pass goes across the court, it's picked off by Todd Paulson. He's going down the floor. The RTR fans all stand up because they know here's the dunk coming. Well, out of the blue, here comes Scott. Never seen the guy go that fast in his life. Judson would have loved him on the track team. He got Paulson before he got elevated, fouled him. He only made 1 free throw. Don't know if there's any correlation, but in my mind, that's what you wanted to see. Total commitment. In basketball, Scott was all-conference his junior and senior year. Marshall All-Area when he was a senior, scored 958 career points. Another item then is this consistency from time to time, or game to game, or sport to sport. He averaged 19.9 as a junior, 19.3 as a senior. 48 out of 101 three-pointers as a junior, 52 out of 115 as a senior. Can't get much evener than that. Also had a stretch in his junior year where he made 24 consecutive free throws in games. Averaged in double figures in all games during his junior senior year, except one when Coach Whipple put a triangle and 2 on him. Canby did win the game by 19. Some great teammates. Golf. Scott made the varsity team towards the end of his 7th grade year, ended up having the lowest score for the team in the district tournament that year, and from then on he was a regular on the varsity. He helped the teams to conference titles in 89 and 90, he won the district in 90, 3 strokes short of getting the team to the state tournament that year. He was conference MVP as a senior, team MVP in 89 and 90. He won the conference as a junior, second as a senior, won 3 district tournaments in a row, won the region as a junior and second as a senior. State tournament, finished I think 35th as a 7th grader and was 7th grade, as a junior and was in 7th when he was a senior and awarded medal. Well, shot in that tournament the only par round out of the 88 golfers participating on the St. Cloud course. And during his golf career, his score counted for the team in 71 of the 73 events in which he participated. He was also student athlete, being class valedictorian, boys state rep, graduation speaker. College basketball was kind of more of the same. Junior and senior played in all 48 games, earned 3 letters, was academic all-conference as a senior and co-captain. And again, he shot 48% from three-point land, and he graduated cum laude. One of his teammates sent a note of congratulations. In one story, he tells Scott, played in a tournament at Cal Lutheran in Los Angeles during his senior season. In the first game we played, Scott made 5 of 5 threes and had 21 points. The next game, he went 8 of 11 from three-point and finished with 27 points, didn't make the all-tournament team. The next day, when the team went to Cal to practice, the coach came over, and this coach was the head coach of Charlotte Bobcats last year. Felt bad, and he gave Scott a purple Cal Lutheran sweatsuit. And I think he wore that sweatsuit not only for several days, but many years. He would probably say it was Viking sweats, but congrats, Scott.
First, I want to thank my dad for kind words, and I'll have more to say in terms of thanks for my family. I want to thank the committee and everybody involved in this event and in the Athletic Hall of Fame. I think it's just a really cool deal. It's one of those things that I didn't prepare anything to speak because I knew once I got here, I'd know what to say because I'd hear what other people are saying and I'd feel it in this place, and it's true. It's a special place. Growing up a basketball kid and not a runner, you look around, you see an awful lot of wrestlers and runners, but I couldn't be prouder of all the wrestling success and all the running success. And anytime Canby's in the news for anything, it's just it's where you're from. This is who I am. It's a kid from Canby that liked to play sports, and I was proud to get Lancer, and I was proud every Friday night when we ran out on the football field. And even though for 2 years we did win 2 games when I was a sophomore, so 2 games, we got 2. But then in 89 and 90 we won 0 games. So we had 16 nights of running out on that field and thinking we could win, knowing that we weren't going to win, knowing that we might lose. Our homecoming my senior year, we lost 67-6 to Dawson. We lost some really, really ugly games. I threw 5 interceptions in 1 game. We had some ugly moments on the football field, but every night we went out there as Lancers, and there were people in the stands. I don't know why people kept coming. I don't know why Cowboy kept driving us to the games, and I don't know why everybody at Colleen kept coming to these games, because we weren't very good. But that's the support you get in Canby is people are proud of the Lancers, win or lose. It's more fun to win. It's a lot of fun to be a wrestling fan. I was a huge wrestling fan. I love these old wrestling stories. The cross-country teams, the signs when you come into town. I mean, everybody that I know, that I've met later in life, I work with people, they don't know where Canby is, but they know I'm from Canby. So I really want to thank everybody for the honor. I feel really blessed to have been part of growing up and playing sports in a town like this that's so supportive. And last, I need to thank my family. My mom and dad, I think just about everybody in the room knows my mom and dad, and they've spent more time in these gyms, this gym, the other gym, whether it's watching me play, whether it's watching my sister Jill play, whether it's watching your kids play, whether it's coaching some of you kids. The support they gave me throughout my athletic career, I think they helped fund the Cleveland family vacations for many years by going through miles and miles of Chevy Impalas and having to re-up every couple years from more Chevy Impalas to drive to, whether they're driving to Wheaton or driving to St. Thomas on a Wednesday night to go watch a MISC basketball game. So the support they gave me throughout the years is just, I can't thank you guys enough for everything. As parents, as teachers, as coaches, it just meant a lot to me, and I'm really blessed to have had the opportunity to do what I love, and that was just play play sports and play for a town that was so supportive. So thanks a lot.
Well, Scott, to give you some perspective, I'm one of those kids your dad coached, so God bless him. Next up, in our individual inductees is Moriah, Christianson, Reiss, and would Emily Cookett come forward at this time?
It is with great honor and profound proudness I stand here this evening. I'm very honored to be the one standing here recognizing my sister's great achievements and outstanding athletic ability. Most of us left high school and never had any reason to look back. Tonight, Moriah has the rare opportunity to reflect and to be recognized for her great ability and achievements from high school. As she was an amazing athlete, she has 3 letters in cross country, 3 letters in basketball, was all conference and all area selection in 1991 and 1992. But track was her sport and running was her thing. She's a 4-time state place winner in the 200-meter dash, a 3-time state place winner in a 100-meter dash, state place winner in the 4x1 meter relay, and she still holds 4 school records in the 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, the 4x1 meter relay, and the 4x2 meter relay, and was also most valuable runner in 1992. I was young, but I still remember going to her meets and her bringing me down to hang out with her, Loren, and Oellien. I loved going to her meets, not because she was an amazing runner, but because I loved hanging out with her. So tonight it is especially meaningful for me to be a part of her recognition and of her great athletic ability and her great athletic achievements. Moriah, I always have been, and I always will be, unbelievably proud of you. Thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this event with you. I feel very blessed and honored to call you my sister. Congratulations.
Don't bite me on this, because I don't talk very well. It's great to be back in Canby for this night. I want to start out by saying thank you to Emily Cookett for nominating me for this honor. Also, thank you to the Hall of Fame nominating committee for allowing me to receive this honor. In the words of my kids, it's pretty cool. Before graduating high school, I remember talking with friends and classmates about finally getting out of here. I was going to head out to college, find a job, have kids, and live far, far away. Well, that never got as planned. I now live 17 miles down the road. I went and married a Minnesota boy and have kids that go to Minnesota school, the arch nemesis of Canby. That's the last thing that ever happened. After getting married, my husband was offered a job in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We talked about this for a long, long time. Ultimately, we decided it would not be a good fit for us. The main reason was starting a family. We want our children to have the same kinds of opportunities that we had. We wanted them to be part of a small town community, go to school, and really know their classmates. My husband Chad and I live on a farm outside Minnesota and have 3 great kids, Taylor, Brendan, and Blake. Our family is very involved with extracurricular activities in our school. It has been so much fun watching them compete and succeed in their given passions. It's as much fun for me watching as it was playing back then. Last March, my daughter's high school team won the Class A state championship. I was so proud watching her and her team work hard to accomplish their goals. It was their 3rd trip down there. The other 2 times they finished 1 and done. They had the goal, they worked hard to get this outcome. They wanted, to me, that is what high school is all about, both in the classroom and on the court. When I was in high school, we never won any state championships, but we had lots of fun trying. Cross country, I remember one time after a big meet, Kelly Morrison, better known as Shine, had the key to Sight Son of Body as he worked there. So the team went there that night to hang out. We got back to town. We listened to music, danced, talked, and had a good time. That was until we got caught. I remember at the basketball games cruising up and down Main Street to see who it was all about. Good thing gas was under $1 back then. But before the game, went to the house to do each other's hair. At the end of the track season one year, a bunch of us got a couple of campsites out of Del Clark. We stayed up all night out by the campfire, telling stories and reminiscing about the fun times we had. I have tons of stories about all the memories I have made here at Canby. then we'd be here all night. Besides that, my kids are here, and there are some stories they probably shouldn't hear. In my opinion, sports teaches many valuable lessons that you carry with you for life. It teaches you about dedication, commitment, courage, and hard work. It teaches you about good sportsmanship and being a gracious loser. It teaches you about setting and achieving goals. I am very grateful for all the memories I've had here in Canby, and I'll never forget. Thanks and have a great night.
And now, for the man I know who's been sweating all evening, the fact that he had to be last and wait through the whole evening, Greg Hemish, would you come up here and talk to us about your dad?
I have the pleasure tonight to introduce my dad for induction into the Canby Athletic Hall of Fame. He is a first-generation, 100% bull hunk, the youngest child of Grandma Emma and immigrant Grandpa Joe, who came here in the late 1800s from Bohemia, present-day Czech Republic. Dad grew up on that original farm, and which has now been in the family for over 100 years. He went to country school, excuse me, and eventually to town for high school. His senior year, he played running back on the 8-0 1950 football team, ranked second in state according to the Lichtenhaus rating scale, behind Boston. He was 5'6", 155 pounds, soaking wet. Ted Peterson, on the other side of the state, sports writer for the Minneapolis Tribune, wrote of his piston legs and over 500 yards on touchdown runs alone. In the 51 District 9 baseball tournament, he pitched 3 games, one being a no-hitter, and gave up 4 total hits in those games. He also caught the attention of a New York Yankee scout during that time. Dad played town team before and after serving in the Army. One of his teammates told me he threw a heavy ball. Dad has always been Huns or Hunsy to me. I remember being quite surprised when I found out his real name was Adrian. I would always do a double take when anybody would use that name. There is some mystery as to where that name came from. Back in the day, horses were used on the farm, and family lore has it, one of them was named Hunsy. I realize we're here to celebrate athletic excellence, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention how Dad parlayed this excellence to be a respected member of the community, good husband, great dad, and grandpa. He's having a successful life. He just celebrated his 80th birthday last August. I met Coach Davis, Dad's football coach. He came into the locker room after one of my games at Luther. I don't recall everything he said, but I remember he introduced himself, congratulated me on a good game, and went on to say I was not as good as my dad. Now, there may have been 2 ways to take what he said. Nice game, kid, but you're not that good. But more likely, and the way I took it, nice game, and you should know your dad was a special player. Ladies and gentlemen, it was my extreme honor to introduce Adrian Hunsy Hemish.
Well, good evening, people. This is not going to be much after all this we've been listening to now, but yet you're going to have to put up with it anyway. I want to thank the committee for nominating me for this honor. There's a lot of people that are connected with this, and First, my sister Virginia, she signed my permission slips so I could play. My dad thought it was a bunch of foolishness running around, and he said I should be home with it. Freshman year, I'm going to give you a little bit of history here. Freshman year, there was no rural bus out in the country, so I stayed in town. Barry Doney was our football coach at that time, and we played our football games down at the lake, where the softball field is now. Canby had a pretty good team at that time, but I did get in to play a couple of plays with them anyway. The sophomore year, the football team was moved up to the Armitage Field, where it is now. Neil Davis and Roger Isaacson are our new coaches. They had a good bunch of boys. I'm going to name them, because you probably don't recognize them anyway. Jack Levers, Mike Dunphy, Wendell Miller, Don Hanson, Kenny Anderson, Ron Cole, Jerry Armstead and Bob Miller, Leroy Rolls, Ron Smith, Marv Stratton, Everett Rasmussen, Irv Nicholson, Louis Hurley, Dick Tisch, Everett Rasmussen, Omer Eichen, Darrell Tremetti, Eugene Mabry. They were the mainstay, and I've got to thank the Rotary Club for giving us guys the ride home after practice every night. That was what kept us all together. Our senior team, as you heard, was rated second in the state behind Austin, which was done by the Pioneer Press and sports writer Ted Peterson, and the Lipton House Ratings. Many of the same players played basketball and was into the state tournament 50 and 51. I didn't make that team because, well, 5'5" wasn't going to do it. Many of the district games were played in other towns around because our gym floor was too small and nobody wanted to play. In the end of the senior year, our new gym was ready. That's this building here. It was finished in 1951. The district final games were played here, but it was finally got ready enough for that. In baseball, we had pretty good teams. Roger Isaacson was our coach. We went to the district finals 2 years in a row. I pitched and played outfield. Lost the game to Marshall, the last game, 7-1. After 2 years in the service, I played baseball with the Hansonville Ball Club, which was out of the Bohemian Hall. Southwest Penny was the league. All the towns around had baseball teams at that time. Ivanhoe won the league one year, went to the state tournament. He had St. Cloud, and I was drafted as a pitcher to go. I got to go to the state tournament. Anyway, thanks to everyone here. Thanks to Wanda. Thanks to my wife, my kids, Greg and Linda, boys, Wendy and Bill, Evan and Aaron, Jeff and Sarah, Nicole, Kaylee, Mackenzie, Sydney, and all the other family members here. The funny thing that over the years, some things come into your memory about things past, and one is that I pitched a baseball game against Belton or Ghent, I don't remember anymore, and I struck out 17 batters, caught a pop fly, and started a double play, and that was sticks in my mind for some reason or other. And then what Greg said, that card from the New York Yankees inviting me to a tryout camp in Green Isle or Green Valley or something, I don't remember. I knew I couldn't go anyway, so I threw the card away. Wish I had it. Congratulations to the other inductees here. This was a great time, and thanks again to the committee for me. Have a good night.
At this time, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee, and I'm going to ask that they would stand and be recognized. First is Mr. Milo Larson, Barry Fink, Patty Merritt, Keith Kraft, Gordy Angismo, Jerry Jingles, David Lemke, Chris Nemitz, Beth Jessen, and Alan Salty. These people have put a lot of work and effort into making this evening a success, so would you please thank them? A quick summary, why do we do this? Well, the obvious is to recognize the achievements and accomplishments of these tremendous athletes. But I think maybe it's more than that. I think part of it's about inspiring a new generation to perhaps work a little harder, practice longer, strive harder, set higher goals, and perhaps find themselves up on this stage one day. Another reason, and I got to put in a selfless plug, is it brings you back here again as alumni to perhaps think and do as Colleen did, and to help our Blue and Gold Foundation provide scholarships for our students. Because I wasn't kidding when I said the Canby High School student body is the most awesome student body on the planet. These kids are amazing. The goal of Blue and Gold is to provide each student with at least a $1,000 scholarship, hence you can see where Colleen's heart came from. And if God has so blessed you, then we ask that you remember us, remember Canby High School, remember where you came from. And also one more thank you to my favorite Hayden for videotaping this evening. With that, once again, thank you. Congratulations to all these inductees. Let's give them one more round of applause. With that, as I end every evening, thank you for supporting high school athletics. Be safe going home. Good night, and God bless.